business factors, what they are, how they're different than in MIDA, and how to add them. So in Refresh Sumatra, as you can see, we have a variety of business factors. These are tactics and environment factors that all affect your measured outcome. Now you'll notice this is very similar to what we have in the variables page in MIDA, and you'd be correct. You can think of there's a one-to-one relationship between the factor types and what there is in MIDA. All that's different are the naming conventions. So in MIDA, the equivalent to what you're seeing on the factors page is the variables tab. But as you can see, there is much more functionality in the factors page. We'll get into that in more detail further on. But for now, let's talk about how each of these factors map. So sales, or your measured outcome, maps to your sales response. Your decision variables, those are those marketing investments. Those will always be right below sales and will have a dollar amount associated with them inside of this table. And your control factors, things like distribution, COVID, seasonality, those are called environment factors in the Keen platform. And as you can see, they have no financials. The way to really transition from MIDA to Keen is an understanding that the variables page, data processing, observation data, and the P&L are now more or less being merged into one interface. So what we're going to focus on today is the part of the factors interface that actually lets you add the factors. Other videos will ingest more functionality in this page, but let's really focus on factor management. So in order to do that, I am going to create a new segment. So we'll say this is called Factor Demo, and we'll hop right in. So once I am in my factor demo, you'll see that from scratch, I have no tactics and no environment factors pre-populating here. All I have here is my measured outcome, sales. So you don't need to add sales. It'll be added whenever you add a new segment. If you want to rename this and call this something else like revenue, the world is your oyster, and then that would be reflected here. So very flexible in what you want to call this. Now for adding things like tactic and environment factors, we have a variety of options. All options start with clicking Add Factor. We immediately see a table of options. What we are seeing here in add factors are our template options. So the most common factors that we see, there's about 130 of these factors spanning environment factors as well as tactics. The use case for this factors pane is so you don't have to generate from scratch or upload a list. You can simply find Facebook. If you want to add Facebook, add that. Let's say I want to add TikTok, I can add TikTok as well, and everything's retained and I can add that in. Now in MIDA, you have to set things such as your metric, your type, your subtype, your impact time, so on and so forth. In the Keen platform, if you are selecting from a factor template, those are already designated for you with defaults. If you want to check those, you can click into the factor details page and see all of those defaults. So here you can see with Facebook, we have a default to impressions, we have a social category, and we have a long-term equity building impact. One feature available to admins is the ability to edit some of these templates. So if I want to come in and say this is coupons 1, 2, 3, 4 and save it, that would update the templates for everyone. So I come back in here and I look at coupon. I now see that it's coupon 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And if I go to refresh Sumatra, it should be factor 1, 2, 3, 4 there as well. But I'll change this back. Just call it coupons. So as an admin, if you ever want to make adjustments to the current template, you can. And in a little bit, I'll show you how you can make custom templates of factors. One of the other great features in the factor templates is that we've automated a lot of the seasonal environment factors. So you no longer have to do data entry for 4th of July, April, August, Black Friday, anything that is seasonal, and we can predict the dates. We've gone ahead and done so across all these time periods. So let's say I add 4th of July, I can add 4th of July. And I'll see I don't need any data. It's all already being generated. So we can see this data point's the 4th of July, this data point's the 4th of July, this data point's the 4th of July. With things like months, if I want to add, say, December, you'll see that I have December across the board. And the indicator is going to be relative to the amount of days in the week that are within that month. So you can see here that we go down to 5 when we only have a split share. So those are automated environment factors. Again, that list are mainly your seasonal factors and holidays. Next, we will cover the ability to start from scratch. You can think of this as more of the workflow that we see with the new variable workflow in MIDA. We choose what do we want to build. Do we want to build a tactic, an environment factor? Let's say we want to build a tactic. We can continue to give it a factor name. We can call this YouTube Learning. We can add an icon, an image icon here. We'll give it a metric impressions. We'll give this a category video. And we'll say this is long-term. And if we want to add this to our factor templates and we're admins, we can simply add that to our factor templates. So here, this should add to our factors as well as be added to our factor templates. So we have YouTube Learning here. And now when we go to another brand, we can see YouTube Learning in here as well. So if we click environment factor, continue, we're going to have all of the traditional elements. Let's call this COVID, and we'll call our metric coughs. But what we, the one wrinkle is what sort of transformation do we need to do on the data? The general rule is if the data has no 0 or negative values, it's a large number, say like distribution in the thousands, or just a high number, we want to log it. If there are going to be zeros in the data set or there are negatives in the data set, then we'll want to use the identity. This selection can be made when you create it, and it can also be edited once you are at the factor level. As you can see here, distribution is logged, but if I found that I did have some 0 values for distribution, which I don't, I could come in here and change this to identity, and then no transformation will be applied. You will know that you have a problem here once you go to run a model. The model will give you an error in the data validation stage saying that detailing which of your metrics are don't have the proper transformation applied. The final way you can add factors is by uploading a list of factors. So if we come in here and we click upload, we click browse, and then we upload a factor list, it will populate a table that we can then edit and commit. But if we say don't have a pre-existing list, we can download the template, and we can see that we have several fields to fill in for name, metric, description, type. But since I've already done this, I am going to upload my factor list here, confirm it, and then you'll see a table that will allow you to make any edits to what you've uploaded. Just click into the cell, make whatever edits you desire. Here, everything looks good to me. I'm just going to click save. And you can see everything has populated on this screen. Those are really the 3 main ways to add factors and create factor templates. My hope in making these is that it factors into your decision making.